Hello friends, welcome. In a application, we will place some check buttons, but we are not sure how many will be there and what should be the status of it. So, in a real life situation, these check buttons, the information comes from a database, or it can come from a Excel, from a CSV file, from a MySQL database or a SQLite database, and different sources it will come. So, we do not know how many boxes will come and what should be the status of it. It should be checked or unchecked, and can you update it? Once you update a status, it should also update our backend database or data source. Now, to do this, we have to create dynamically all the check buttons, and accordingly status also will read from the backend and also will update the backend. So, this we'll learn now. So, before we move, my request is please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon, so you'll be notified as and when we add tutorial, and we are frequently adding that also. Let's start learning the script. We are in our Visual Studio Code. So, we will run it once and see the demo, and I will show you how to download the entire source code also in our blog post. That link is there in the description also. Let's run this and first see how this works. So, this particular application, here are the check buttons. You can see the 5 because 5 students check button. These are square check buttons you use. You can make it rounded also. I can toggle the any value, anything I can check or uncheck it. These are check boxes. So, it will take 2 values, check or uncheck. So, here you can see against each, at the bottom left, you can see the against each student the status is reflected. Say Bob is, I make it paid, so you can see paid. Now, similarly this also I am making it paid. So, once I change it, this will print here. First, we will understand how dynamically we will create the check button. So, for that, before moving towards a database, we will first take the data from a dictionary. Here we have used the dictionary as the data source. So, there is a student dictionary. So, you can see here the keys are 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the dictionary, the key, and the value here is a list. So, list contain the name of the student and the status. Here it is taking, we are taking whether it is paid or unpaid. So, true, false it will take 2 values. It's a, so, but you can use it pass, fail, or anything you can use it. So, this is the name and the status. So, when we run it, you can just see this. When you run this check button takes the value, say against each name. If it is true, the check button is checked. If it is false, then it is unchecked. So, based on matching to this data is taken dynamically based on the number of records. Then that many check buttons are kept, and the status is taken from this true or false based on the value. We'll loop through all this dictionary, the elements, and accordingly we'll create the check buttons. We'll scroll down. And here you see what's this for loop. So, this loop you can see here, this loop uses this student items. So, it takes all the rows of the data from the student element, and it gives us a iterator. So, this enumerate, this built-in function of Python creates a iterator by adding an index to it. So, index for the first element will be 0. That is the index value, we take it as row. And you just see this particular one because each row now is a list or is a iterator. So, student ID, name and status. This exactly matches to our structure here. See, the key we are taking as ID, then name, then the status we are taking. So, this matches with this particular student ID, name and status. So, we are used a for loop. So, first loop when you will take it, the first name will be taken 1, Elisa and true. So, that will be taken, and row will take the index value starting from 0. So, row will be first looping, it will be 0, then the student ID, name and status. This we take it inside this loop. So, in the first loop, again the variable will be set based on the what is the status of it. It is a true or false. Then what happens, you just see this particular one variable is set that way. So, it decides whether it should be checked or unchecked based on the status of the particular element. So, here the first time you can see here the first element is in this case is true. So, it will be checked. So, this will take the variable of checked. This will set as value will be set as true. So, this particular first check button will be checked because of this particular connection. So, this variable here it will be value will be true. So, and the next loop, the next record value will be taken, or the next row value, dictionary element value will be taken. Now, you just see here boot style is toggle. You can change it to square is it is a square. You can make it to a round also, circle you can see, button you can use. These are all about the style, what way you want to use the check button, that is can be updated here. This is just for the look and feel. Now what's this particular line? This line, whenever we change the status of the check button, so here it is this particular function toggle status is called. Now this s value is passed as a parameter. What is s value? The s value is the student id. So it is a 1 2 3 like that, whatever the row ids are there. Here you can see in the dictionary 1 2 3 4 5 are there. So every check button created within the loop will have a unique student id. So this, when the particular check button is checked or unchecked, this id is passed. Now here is the function toggle status. This status receives the student id. Then what it does is this line changes the status for us. So what it does is, by here you use the not. Not means if it is true it will become false, if it is false it will become true, and that is what we print at the console. Student id is, if it is paid, it is paid or unpaid, that is what is being decided. Here we are just printing to a console. Here it is the console we are printing. Now we can also change this, and at this point we will update the database in the next. So that is how the basic concept remains same. We will see what changes we have to do for our database. To use SQLite database, first we have to create the database with some sample data, or these 5 students data will take it to the SQLite. So there are 2 independent parts of it. First we will create the database, then in the application part we will read from this database, or we will update it based on the user interaction. Here is the sample code to create the database, but this again you can download it also. I will show you how to do that. But here let's run this to create the database. So here it, once I run it, it will create, and at the end it said database setup completed with sample data. Note that here we are, because this SQLite is a file based, here we are given the path where it should be stored, the created database. So that in your case you need to change this or update it based on your system. Now I have copied and used the main application which takes the data from the database what you have created. Check it here, I have used the same path. So in your case also use the same path, or if it is in a different path also you can update it here. So this database path, so I have connected by, we are using SQL Alchemy. So the reason behind this is that the same script we can work in MySQL also with a slight change in that we will see later. Let's just see, once we are connected to our database, let's first run it once. So we can see that. So here it is. Now this time all this status and the names are taken from the database. To check that, what you will do is, we will change one status and close the application, open it. So that what status was there, because it is the data status is stored in a database. When it collects it data, it collects the same status. So for Bob we'll make it true. So it is paid now. So okay, here it is bottom, you can see that has come. Now let me just close it. Again open it again. Now this time it takes the data from the database. So you can see that Bob status is paid, because that is how we store the data in the database. So it does 2 things. First, here you just see this, it's not a dictionary now. Fetch student, what initially this function is called. What this fetch student does is, these 3 lines, it select id, name, status from students. Students is our table name where details are stored, and that entire thing is collected. So it's a iterable, it's a list already as a tuple, so it is available to us. So this is, I need not have to create what was coming from the dictionary earlier. Now it is coming from the database. So initially I call this particular, what's the default student status, or the name and its status, I am taking it from the database. Now using that, here I am looping through now. You can see the student directly I am taking, because there is no, earlier in the dictionary case we have used dot keys, but here it is already in a iterator format. So you need not take that. Rest everything remains same. So we have put the name in a label here, you can see the name is displayed, then the dynamically check button is created. Same student ID and toggle status we have passed on to the function. So that also we did when we worked in a dictionary. But you come here, there is a small change. We have to add one more step. updating the status of the student in the database. That is when the toggle status, this part we have already was there in the dictionary case, because we are printing to the console the status is paid or unpaid. One more 2 lines we have used here. Sorry, up to this point, this is that below one was here, this line was there before. Now we have added these 2 lines. What we are doing is, we are reading now the status directly from the check button. So checkvar.get, we are getting the new status now. So checkvar, we are taking it the status, and the status we have got it. Now what we do, we have already collected the student ID. Now what you are doing is update student set status is equal to status. Now the what status is recently and where ID, because we have to put for that particular student only we will be updating the status. That's what we do. And here you can see the query is in 2 parts. So this is a parameterized query. So separately data we are sending it, and this is the query. This is the placeholder. The status is a placeholder, ID is a placeholder, and the values we are setting it separately. Why we are doing it separate? Directly I can write it status is equal to this new status and ID is equal to student ID. I can write it that way. But this is a better way to prevent the injection attack, because we are sending the query and the data part separately. So this is a better way of for the secure means nobody can inject any malicious code to inside this. That's why we are using a parameterized query. So query part and the data part sent separately. So our database understands even if some code is there in the data also, it will not execute as a part of the query. So that is the reason. And then we are committing the updation. Then what happens? Then we also print it to the console. So this way we update it. Let's just once more we'll see that what it is doing. You can see it updates the database also, because we have seen if I close it, open it again, it takes the data, because the line number 29 here fetch data, it takes the data from the backend, and it by default it keeps the status this way. So it's true, then it is checked. If it is false, it is unchecked. So that data keeps on updating. But friends, you may be asking me one more improvement here. Friends, here we have 4 or 5 records. So one by one you can check or uncheck the data and update the database. But in a real practical case where you may have 50 or hundreds of records, say you want at the beginning of the day you want to keep all unchecked or all in checked condition, and based on the situation you will handle one by one. So in that case you will go to update all the 50 or 100 records by checking all the thing. Instead of that, you would like to put one single button which will make all check or which will make all uncheck. If it is all check, then it will make all uncheck. If it is unchecked, then it will make check. A single click will do that. That we will learn in the next part. To download the source code, visit this URL. It is there in the description. You can click and visit this page. So here it is. There are 4 parts of it. You can visit any part, read the entire block. Here you can see what the functionality. Initially it is about the how you will use the dictionary part of it. Then in the part 1 you can move to the top. Part 2 you can see here database, adding SQLite database, and move to the top again. Part 3 you will just see a bulk update, what you have discussed now, check all or uncheck all, that you can add it here. So let's move to top again. And part 4 we discussed how you will, instead of using SQLite database, how you will use MySQL database. So all the source code you can copy it from here and use it in your system. That's all friends. Hope you have a good learning experience, and if you have any doubt, idea, suggestion, questions, use the comment section below to post it. And my request is please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you'll be notified as and when we add tutorial, and we are frequently adding this also. Please share this with your friends, and thank you for watching.